Relying on self-discipline to get you what you want is probably exactly what's holding you back. Keep watching. This is Life Mastery Gym. I'm Damon Card, and I teach people just like you cutting-edge NLP processes and techniques so that you can master your life and take charge of your destiny. So if that sounds good, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can get these videos on a regular basis. A week ago, I did a video on self-discipline and willpower, and it got such a huge response, and I got so many questions. I felt like I needed to create a follow-up video in order to answer some of those questions and answer them all at once. It's not necessary that you need to watch that other video first. However, I have linked that video to this video, and if you watch both, after you watch this one, you watch the other one, it's going to give you a very, very complete picture of how to create a vision for what you want and how to not rely on self-discipline or willpower, because so many people think that because they lack self-discipline or they lack willpower, that's what's holding them back, and that is absolutely not true. What I'm going to show you in this video in my own life to accomplish what I want, create the life that I want, and I've helped countless people do the same. So by the end of this video, you're going to have a much better understanding of how to do this, how to create what you want without having to rely on willpower and self-discipline. As always, before I get into this, I would like to hear from you. What is it you're trying to create? What is it you're trying to do? And how is resistance getting in your way? You know, that resistance is a thing that we're trying to will ourselves against, and we're trying to discipline ourselves to push through. Comment down below. I will respond to you, and maybe I can even help you out. So in the last video I did on this, I talked about how self-discipline and willpower is like a muscle. It's something you can build up. The more you use it, the stronger it gets, but there is a point at which it will fail you. And so relying on it is like relying on something that you know at some point is going to fail. And what I'm going to show you here is something that is absolutely sustainable. You can do this for the rest of your life. It will save you a lot of time, a lot of frustration, and a lot of energy. And don't worry, at the end of this video, I'll show you how you can get a free PDF that will walk you through this process step by step. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We hear self-help gurus and self-improvement gurus tell you you need to have more willpower, you need to have more self-discipline. For what exactly? Why do we need self-discipline? Why do we need willpower? Well, really, it's because we're working against resistance. We are trying to push through some sort of resistance that's coming up for us. And it gets even better, right? When we start using these warlike metaphors, we're going to combat the resistance, we're going to push through it, we're going to plow through it, we're going to beat it down. Really, though, what you're saying is you're in a war with yourself. And that might even sound appealing to you, but I assure you, it's not. And if you have been at war with yourself, it's time to stop. It's pretty much what's holding you back. But people get caught up in that metaphor. They get caught up in that idea that they're going to fight through something. But we're talking about you. We're not talking about you actually fighting through something. It's not boxing, it's not an actual war, this is you. And so if you're at war with yourself, that's taking a tremendous amount of energy away from you. That's taking a tremendous amount of resources from you. You're divided is what that means. And one side is pushing against another. And what you're thinking is I need more willpower and discipline to push through that other side. So let's understand this better, okay? Here's you. And you have something that you want. And that can be an object. It can be an accomplishment. It doesn't have to be anything tangible. It's whatever you want. It's a goal, okay? So you want that, whatever that is. And this is where most people stop. They say, oh, I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to drop 20 pounds. And that this can represent that. Or I want to make $100,000. So this can represent $100,000. Or I want a girlfriend, or I want a boyfriend, whatever that is. Okay, but most people will stop here. And then they start chasing after this. And often the feeling is that the more they chase it, the more they push it away. So it continues to keep this distance. And they think, well, maybe it's I don't have enough willpower or I don't have enough self-discipline. So they bear down even more on this and they try even harder and they still can't get it. And then they quit and then they feel bad about themselves. And then you beat yourself up and you think, well, it's just because I didn't have enough willpower. I didn't have enough discipline. I should have kept going. At some point I would catch this, but just like walking toward the horizon, the horizon keeps going further and further away. So what most people will never understand unless they do this process is what are the deeper values that go beyond this? Because it's really not the accomplishment or the object of desire that you actually want. It is values. And I had somebody recently comment, they said, wow, in most of your videos you talk about values, but it never gets old. Well, of course not, because what you want never gets old. It's always alive. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about here. Let's say the object of your desire or whatever it is you want to accomplish, let's say it's losing 20 pounds. Actually, I would say dropping 20 pounds or shedding 20 pounds, because if you lose something, you might find it again. So anyway, we'll say we're going to drop 20 pounds. Well, what is important to you about that? Okay, maybe you want to be healthier. Great. Health is a value. What's important about health? Well, I'll live longer. Okay, well, what will that do for you? I'll enjoy my life more. Joy is another one. So you see where this is going? So I could say joy would be a value. And that's just one of them. I guarantee you we can go further and deeper with this. But we can use another thing. Let's say something more tangible like money. You want to make $100,000. Okay, well, what will making $100,000 do for you? Financial security. Great, security is a value. I say, okay, well, what does financial security do for you? Peace of mind. Peace. So peace, security. Now this, just knowing what your values are beyond the surface level accomplishment or object of desire is huge, because this is what your motivation is. This isn't really your motivation. This is a representation of the values you believe you will fulfill when you have this. Now, in other videos you might have seen me talk somewhat about this. And really what I say is that these values already exist inside of you. And it's a matter of connecting with that inside of you that then makes getting this much, much easier. Kind of a different conversation. I really want to focus on resistance here. But I'll see about linking this videos like this to this one as well. So what is resistance? What is happening when we encounter resistance? Now remember, if we pulled the plug on resistance, think about this. If you had zero resistance to getting what it is that you want, would you need self-discipline? Would you need willpower? Honestly, answer that question for yourself. If you know what motivates you, which is what your values do, your values are what motivates you. It's not affirmations, and it's not somebody on a stage yelling and screaming and trying to pump you up. That's kind of like fake motivation. True motivation is your values. So if you are aware of your values and you are connected to your values so that you recognize that these things already exist inside of you and that this doesn't really give it to you, they're already here. But once you connect with it, then getting things like this becomes a lot easier. So if you're connected with your values and there is no resistance, is there anything that will stop you? The answer is no. Not only will nothing stop you, this becomes less important and the journey becomes enjoyable every step of the way. As you move through this step by step, you're already connected with your values. So this becomes fun. And it's not such a struggle. So what so many people will do is they'll set a goal. They won't be clear about this. So they'll have to try to pump themselves up. They'll experience resistance, so they'll will themselves through it. They'll discipline themselves through it. They will forego gratification. They'll suspend gratification until they get to their goal. I got to sacrifice. I got to make this thing work. I got to do this. And so they're not really enjoying the process, which is one of the reasons why you're going to experience resistance if you're not really enjoying the process. Then let's say they get there. They get it. They achieve it. And then they go, yeah, like across the finish line. And then maybe they'll enjoy it for about 24 hours. And I'm sure you know what this is like. You've achieved a goal. You thought, this is what I worked for so long. And then after about 24 hours, it kind of wears off. And you go, oh, what happened here? I worked all these months, all these years to achieve this. And for only a few hours of gratification, what do I do now? And a lot of people will feel really lost at this point. So what do? Set another goal and then go through the whole process all over again. And if you keep doing that, then for the majority of your life, you're not going to enjoy yourself. You're going to be withholding gratification until you achieve something, only for about 24 hours of joy and celebration. To me, that's no way to live. The other thing is, for a lot of people, probably the majority of people, they will quit because they're not enjoying the process. They will run out of motivation. They'll run out of willpower and discipline, and then they quit, and then they beat themselves up about it. This also has no way to live. So what is the alternative? Well, again, you get clear about this, and then you ask yourself, do I have any resistance to achieving this? And that's usually when the resistance will come up. And if you get very honest with yourself, you can feel it. You can often feel it in your body, or sometimes it'll come to you as an image, or it'll come to you as a voice. And so you feel that resistance. Now, what most people will do is they try to push resistance away. And that's not the way to deal with it either. Welcome it. Welcome the resistance. It has a positive intent for you. It has a positive message for you. And it could be many different things. So let's say the resistance is pushing back on this. All right, so resistance is pushing back and you're trying to push forward, but instead of pushing against resistance, we're going to welcome it. And we're going to say, okay, resistance, there's a part of me that's resisting this, which is usually unconscious. So we have to get conscious. We have to bring this into consciousness, and we say, okay, well, what positive intent or what positive message are you trying to deliver to me? Now, let's say it's about health. You're wanting to drop 20 pounds. Well, here's the thing about people who are overweight and who overeat. They don't just do it just to do it. There's a good reason why they do it. It's a coping strategy, or it's some strategy to achieve some sort of fulfillment of one of their values. It's just not a very good strategy because it's destructive to your health. But if we can get clear about that, what the strategy is trying to do, which value it's trying to fulfill, then we can understand why might there be resistance. Well, maybe there's resistance because you want to have fun. You don't want to be so rigid. You want to enjoy your life. And your concern, or this unconscious resistance, is really about concern that you're not going to enjoy your life. Sure, you may be healthier, but if you're not enjoying life, then what's the point in living longer? That actually might be an unconscious belief or thought. And then the same thing with money. I struggled with money for a long time because I thought if I became wealthy like I wanted to be, how I wanted to be, consciously wanted to be, I had a deep unconscious fear of becoming greedy. Now, of course, I know that there are plenty of wealthy people who are not greedy. And since that time, I've known a lot of people who were like that, wealthy and not greedy. And so I had to work on that with myself. That was my resistance. But instead of just shunning the resistance and trying to plow through it, I included that as part of my vision. And this is where the game changes. This is where you don't need self-discipline and willpower anymore. For the person who's losing the weight, maybe the unconscious resistance is it doesn't want you to be so rigid. It wants you to have more fun and enjoy your life. So then, how do I create a vision with my values and include the positive intent or the value that the resistance is coming from as part of my vision? So how do I include joy and fun in the process of dropping weight and becoming healthier? That creates a whole new possibility for a new strategy. And then for, say, money, so greedy would be stated in the negative. So if I don't want to be greedy, if I want to be wealthy, but I don't want to be greedy, then what do I want to be? What is the opposite of greedy? Well, maybe I want to be kind. Maybe I want to be wealthy and kind. Maybe I want to be wealthy and generous. Yeah, I like that one. I like generous. So how do I build generosity into my vision of being wealthy? Now I'm even getting excited just thinking about it. My vision is to be wealthy and generous at the same time. And I have all of, my values around building wealth. But if I build generosity into it, this goes away. I don't have any resistance. And if it's about losing weight, becoming healthier, and I build fun, how do I do this and still have fun in my life and still enjoy my life? The resistance goes away. So at that point, do I need willpower? Do I need discipline? No, all I need now is a good strategy. And there are plenty of books on great strategies that you can try out, many different strategies. You'll find one that works for you to build wealth, to get healthier, and whatever else it is that you want. The strategy is the easy part. There are a lot of people with lots of strategies, and they will offer them to you, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to learn them. I mean, they're in books everywhere. They're online. They're on YouTube. So you clear out this resistance, and then maybe there's more resistance. Maybe there's other resistance that comes up. But if you do that, if you get conscious about the resistance and conscious about what the positive intent is behind the resistance, and then you just add that to your vision of what it is that you want, there's nothing that will stop you. Now, the other thing that happens when you elicit values and you elicit resistance, sometimes you find out that this isn't really what you want. That maybe you only wanted this because other people value it. And you thought, well, if other people value it, I should too. But then when you do all this, you realize, well, wait a minute, I could spend years chasing this. And if I accomplished it, it would not make me happy. It would not fulfill me. It would not satisfy me. Because it's not really something I want. I just thought it was valuable because other people want it. Or I was told I should value it. And that is amazing. Like if you save years, that much time and that much effort and whatever else you had to, spend in order to get to this thing, if you save yourself that, then you can direct that to what it is you actually want. And that's a huge win. So you pull out the resistance by making friends with your resistance, realizing that this is just another part of you, and you welcome it and you integrate it. And then you get very clear about what it is that you want and your vision. And as long as you're including all of the elements and you're 100% on board with it, and you're approaching this as a whole, complete human being, nothing will stop you. Now you have a much clearer understanding of how this all works. But what you don't know is how to elicit those values, how to elicit your values from a goal that you want or something you want to achieve, and how to elicit values from resistance. I explain all of this in a PDF document that you can get for free, and you can get immediate access to it. If you go to the description right down below, there's a link there. You click that link and you can download it immediately. I also put it in the comments at the top right over here. So make sure you get your hands on that. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. What are you waiting for? And last but not least, if you can think of a friend or a family member who you think would really enjoy this video, make sure you share it with them. Take care.